Hola, this is Kaipacha with the Weekly Pele Report. And I have made it out of Helsinki. That's where I was. I know some of you asked. And what I will be doing from now on is I will always put the location on the chart. So you can always look at the chart to see where I am. Right now I have made it down to Antalya, Turkey. I'm going to be doing a workshop this week, and it is amazing, beautiful Mediterranean Sea. I tell you, just absolutely stunning. So let me walk along here, see if I can walk and talk. The moon is now in square late degrees of Libra as I'm doing this report, and it will be moving into Scorpio today. And then, you know, I mean, I have to post the chart again after this so that you can really see this beautiful grand trine that's happening as the moon goes through Scorpio. She does a beautiful trine to Neptune over there in Pisces, and to Mercury, Mars. Mercury and Mars are traveling together, okay, down there through Cancer, and they're going to be hitting the north node of the moon. Yeah, Mars is conjunct the north node of the moon right now as I'm doing this report, and Mercury is coming up to join it, and on Saturday Mercury will exactly conjunct the north node. At the same time, yeah, that, you know, the moon is moving through Scorpio, and then she goes into Sagittarius. Yeah, and we have our full moon. The full moon at 25 degrees, 53 minutes of Sagittarius, with the sun at 25 degrees, 53 minutes of Gemini. The twins. I'm going to talk about these twins today. But I want to give you a shot of this tree first. These are rocky mountains. Let's see if I can get a shot. The big mountain in the background is in the clouds right now. What I'm doing though is I am heading out to some ancient ruins. They're out there on that peninsula out there. I haven't seen them yet, but that's where I'm going to try to sit down and face the camera. But I want to give you some of these other things. So, you know, Mercury's exactly conjunct Mars on Tuesday, full moon on Monday, okay? And that Mercury-Mars is also in opposition to Pluto. Yeah, that's coming up. So first they're going to be opposite Saturn. Mars is opposite Saturn on Friday, okay? Mercury opposite Saturn on Sunday. After that opposition with Saturn, they're going to go into an opposition with Pluto. So we have this, it's really something, man. You know, the moon's going to come up there and conjoin with Jupiter also, while all of this is going on. So we got the grand trine for a little while, but then it kind of just breaks more and more into the, there's still that kind of T-square happening with the sun opposite Jupiter. Look at, do you see the 3-mast sailboat way out there? Check that baby out. See if I can zoom in on that sucker. Where'd he go? There it is. Maybe a little blurry. There's... Alright, well, I actually have to keep this Pele report a little short because the internet here is not so good, and it may take a long time to upload this baby. So let me cut it short here and talk at you soon. There's the grand trine, moon, Neptune, Mars, and then Saturn, and boom, we move to the full moon. Moon conjunct Jupiter. How about that? All right, well, it's a little bit of a tourist spot here. I hope I don't get anybody walking up. There is so much to talk about with all these aspects. It's called a kite. You can see that you've got the moon in Scorpio trining Neptune, and both of them trining Mercury, Mars in the north node, and then opposite that is Saturn in the south node. So it makes 2 sextiles, 3 trines, and an opposition. And it looks just like a kite. That's why they call it a kite. It's a very powerful exchange of energies, and the grand trine in the water signs. Okay, and it's almost like you're pulling an arrow back, like that Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, okay, is like the string, okay, and it's shooting through Mercury, Mars, and the North Node all the way down into Cancer. But I want to, and then the moon moves out of Scorpio, and we have the full moon where she is up there, you know, conjunct Jupiter, opposite the sun. So, you know, this is just a powerful weekend. And you may feel it inside, and you may witness it outside in the world. It's extreme amounts of tension with Mercury, Mars, opposite Saturn, Pluto in the south node. These forces pulling apart. But let's talk about the, you know, I got so much to say about Gemini, Castor and Pollux, the twins, okay, and then Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. It's also the ruler of Virgo, yeah? But I was reading about this yesterday. I hope I can get all the stories right and stuff. And I want to put the book I was reading down in the notes. If you want to know more about this, you can check out that book. I think the name of it was The Zodiac Soul. I got it from an astrologer over there in Glastonbury. So check out the notes. But what he was saying, okay, is that it's interesting in Aries, Taurus, Gemini. We have the beginning in Aries, then we have Taurus, and the beginning of polarity is with Castor and Pollux. And I think it was Castor, okay, is the immortal. It's like they're twins, but they're born of different fathers. One is immortal and the other is mortal. And these brothers are excellent horsemen. So they're always riding horses, but then they also start to get into trouble, right? They start stealing cattle. Now Apollo, okay, you know, has all this cattle, and you know, and so, well, that's, yeah, that's, anyway. So Pollux gets killed. Okay, he gets caught stealing cattle and he gets killed, and his brother, you know, begs Zeus. He wants to stay with his brother. He loves his brother. He wants to give up his immortality and die to be, you know, so that the Castor and Pollux could stay together. And so Zeus does not let him die, but he does let him visit the underworld, visit his brother. So here we have this idea of the twins, of duality, this separation. Aries is just one way, Taurus is just one way, but we get into now above and below, immortal and mortal, eternal and temporary, right? You know, multi-dimensional. We're separating now into the third dimension of mortality, death, and endings. And that Mercury, okay, you know, Castor, Pollux, and Mercury, and we got some company. That's great. Gemini is all about friends and people, right? But so here we have, okay, the descent into the underworld, or the descent into the dark for the first time. Then we also have thieves. And Mercury, okay, Mercury also was, you know, a thief. Mercury stole his brother Apollo's cattle. So we have visiting the underworld, one in heaven, one in hell, 1 foot in heaven, 1 foot in hell. This is the challenge of this Gemini energy, of the light and the dark, because then we have lies. He not only steals the cattle, but then in the mythology they say he tells the first lie. And it's amazing that this lie is also what? he creates a story. A lie is creating a story of something that didn't happen, or that never was, or that never will be. It's a lie. But the lie is also associated with what? Creation. It's like, okay, you know, my mind, my Mercury, my mental energy is able to say something that is not, is able to create an imaginary story. I talked about these stories in the mantra about 3 weeks ago. So these stories are tied in with our ability to create new ideas, new stories, write new plays, and play with destiny, modify and change. It's almost like Aries Taurus is, you know, you just tied into a fate. But then the mind and Mercury comes in and alters the future with these ideas and other stories, other ways of looking at things, and steps outside itself. The first objectivity comes with these air signs. So it's really, this is Gemini is a very deep, sign. It's often looked at, some people say it's kind of superficial and airy and changeable, but there's great depth to Gemini. It's this beginning, of objectivity, the beginning of creation of our own kind of creations. And here's what I really want to get to today with this grand trine in the water signs. The north node of the moon in Cancer is also that in order to appease Apollo after he's caught stealing his cattle, he sacrifices some of the meat in an offering to Apollo to make up for his deeds, his erroneous, sin is error. Like, I made an error. I stole your cattle. So rather than eat it all and take it all myself, even though I want it, I am going to give some back. I am going to make a sacrifice. And this is what makes for the sacred. The sacred. As different from, it's like when we take something of our own, whether it's money or sex or pleasure, and we offer it. We give it freely. It has this capacity and ability to become sacred through our, in a way, sacrifice or renunciation or the honoring of the other through the process of giving. So what we have now is this moon in Scorpio, in this grand trine, in these water signs. And Neptune in the sign of Pisces has so much to do with the infinite, with the spiritual, and with the sacred, that this Friday, you should mark right on your calendar, like when this is exact. And the moon moves a degree every 2 hours. So if we give it a few degrees, it's like almost the whole day Friday, and even into Saturday we have this grand trine is active. And that is tapping into and feeling, what is Spirit asking of me? What might I be able to offer? What might I be able to give? Yeah, rather than just gathering, hoarding, taking something that maybe I desire, that I want, and offering it, and in that way experiencing the soul spirit in a new, different way. And then the moon moves into Sagittarius, and we have this full moon of illumination. And that illumination can be, it's like, how do I say, it's like life is like a sine wave. It's like we start out and we go down into the mine, or we go diving down deep into the water, and what do you find down there? Starfish, mussels, lobsters, crabs, all these things at the bottom of the sea, and then we bring them up to the surface.
Or we go into the mine and we dig the gold or the copper or the diamonds, and then we bring it up to the surface. And it's like our lives as human beings is kind of diving down, right, from our immortal into our mortal to find our unique gift, our gold, our treasure. And then the hero's journey is to come back up, sacrifice it, and give it away. And that's when we become the heroine. That's when we become the hero. That's when we make our lives sacred, is through not staying down in the North Node, Cancer, Mars, Mercury, this is mine, and Moon and Scorpio, this, jealous and possessive and holding and fearing that, I have to protect and keep and no. It comes into Sagittarius, right? And this optimism and this faith that there's more and this generosity, and it just, comes right back out, even and then up into Capricorn. So it's like, this is where you gain this objectivity. And then it's also like with age. We come in as kids and we're light and we're playing and we, maybe make up some lies, or we tell stories, or we steal this, that, or a chocolate bar or whatever, Could get worse than that. I won't say what I've done. But we go down, and then we get full into the mix if we have kids and a family and a job in our 30s and our 40s, and even into our 50s. It's like, oh my God, we're in it, we're mortal. Oh, Jesus, But then there's this coming out in your elder years after your second Saturn return into your 60s and your 70s, where you come back out and you get more objective. And it's more about offering and giving your experience and your wisdom and all this. And that's how you make your life sacred. Ta-da! Yeah, baby! Oh my God. So the mantra, the mantra is, there are laws that govern life. Yeah? That are beyond the will of man. And the closer I draw to the source, the more I begin to understand. Understanding these laws, understanding, how we make a sacred experience out of our lives. And this Saturn-Pluto South Node, okay, is just like calling, for these higher laws with higher integrity, the good of the whole, the future generations. And it's just like, so we have to come down and in with this Cancer, Mars, Mercury, North Node, come into ourselves, find that gold, that treasure, those starfish, and then rise up and just not get stuck. You don't want to get stuck in the child. You don't want to get stuck in the middle of the stuff. And you want to just keep on doing. Do that sine wave. Do that sine wave down. And then we head back up. And this can happen every day. It's like you wake up and then you get all into it. And then in the evening you reflect and you let it all go. And so it's just all this movement, moving on, releasing, opening, letting go. And that's the full moon. We get this illumination of, okay, spirit law, the divine is asking this of me. And I let it go. Neptune and Pisces. And it's all right. If not, there's resistance, clinging, holding on, and that leads to, and we may see that happening on the world stage or whatever, as people become more isolationist, even here in Turkey, it's just like, there's this shutdown, and in the United States, there's this, building walls and separation and, no more trading and no more refugees it's just like everybody's kind of, doing this kind of contracting, but, after the contraction, there's the expansion. So let's just like really look forward. I look forward to good things coming. One more time. There are laws that govern life that are beyond the will of man. And the closer I get to the source, the more I will understand. Namaste. Aloha. So much love. Oh yeah, I meant to say, man. You know, these walls back here, 7 BC, 2,700 years ago these were built. And this city was the city of Athena, the goddess of war and wisdom, which I think she's really the ruler of Libra, Pallas Athene. And Alexander the Great came here in the year 333 BC. And rather than fight, when he approached the city, these people came out and they just gave him a golden crown and gave him their city. So they didn't want to have a battle. This is giving. Talk about the ultimate sacrifice. What a sacred moment, right? You know, of just like surrendering. This is greater. You know, there's something greater out there, and I am not going to fight it. I'm going to give into it. The other thing I found out is Rumi, the great poet, lived right around here, you know, like less than 5 hours away. Very special place. I love Turkey. I'm going to spend some more time here. So, for now, namaste, aloha, so much love.